Hi everyone, welcome to Board of Tanks with stewiejp. I'm Stewie, you're not, and this is a bit of a preview to patch 1.0. Patch 1.0 coming your way very, very soon. Of course, we don't know what soon means. It could be any time. I know patch 9.22 is just around the corner. In fact, by the time this video comes out, patch 9.22 is probably already going to be on your systems. Now, I'm going to be loading into some maps in this series of videos. I'm not going to be able to fit them all on in one video. I'll probably do maybe 4, 5 or 6 maps on each video. There'll be a series of videos coming this week or over the next week, and we'll be jumping into about 25 different maps and having a look at the differences, the graphical differences. And did you also notice what I noticed? Did you notice the music at the start of when I loaded into Himmelsdorf? I thought that music was absolutely fantastic. And as we start on the southern spawn of Himmelsdorf, you can already see there's a little tram track, or for those people who don't have trams in their city, a light rail, I guess, is what they call it on in other places like San Francisco. They're in Europe, and of course they're in sunny Melbourne. And down the Banana Road, they've got the little tram tracks there, which I reckon is an absolutely fantastic feature. When I was in Eastern Europe a lot of years ago, there was quite a few light rails, or what I would call trams, as part of their public transport system, and that looks absolutely fantastic. You can see here as we go up towards the hill on Himmelsdorf, try not to flip our tank. Going up towards the hill, there's just lots of more graphical features, as you can see there, going up this hill. We're continuing to move all the way up to the top. I'm going to try and keep during these videos, I'm going to try and keep the tank moving for most of the part, because there is a lot to show and a lot to show off. You can see the sun. Is it the sun rising? The sun rises in the east, so it must be the sun rising. And one thing you notice when you get to the top of this hill, where the red line is, it doesn't stop there. Of course you can't cross the red line, but of course the graphics continue over there. And that's just background, of course. You can't go there. You can see the red line there in that gaps. This is a map that I haven't yet looked at. This is my live reaction to seeing it when I have a look on some of these maps. Some of these maps I have had a look at, some of them I haven't. If we have a look at the view from the top of the hill on Himmelsdorf, you can see Himmelsdorf is. You can see the boat, the ship there in the river. Now you might have seen some. There was some preview videos about a couple of months ago. I think it might have even been before Christmas, and showing off some of the graphical changes on these maps. It's not just the graphics, but it's also the sound, the way they move, and of course those planes that you can see up in the sky. You can also now hear them as you have a look down on the central square in Himmelsdorf. You can see it also a little bit of a haze there. I'm not sure if that's a bug or if that's supposed to be heat haze. This is, of course, this is all part of the super test, I guess, and bugs are to be expected, but they reckon they're going to iron out all the bugs by the time they come in. As far as I know, it's going to be March. Let's have a look down this road up to the north half of Himmelsdorf. Now Himmelsdorf, this is the first time I've seen Himmelsdorf. It looks absolutely fantastic, and as I mentioned earlier, you can see past the red line. See, we're back up again, we're back on the red line here, but of course you can still continue to look down those streets, have a look at those beautiful buildings, a castle up there, and more of a divide in this road. And there's that tram line again. That's that one that goes straight down towards the Banana Road, where heavy tanks might do their business. Also some power lines there. I have never noticed power lines in water tanks before. And of course the what you might have just seen there, and is when you run things over, when you break things, they maybe not so much that one. Things tend to break apart, and you can get them. See that? See, things just fall apart, and you can drag them along in your tracks for a little bit as you run around in your tank. Of course, that's not something you're going to be trying to do in battle, but it's just another feature of this game. We'll go over here to where the railway lines are on Himmelsdorf on the western flank. You know, up here where the tank destroyers and the artilleries kick back and snipe like little champions. You've got this railway station here, or what used to be a railway station, or a railway shed, I guess you might say, where the trains used to sit on their tracks there. This looks like it. Oh, has it been opened up a bit? It looks like it hasn't been opened up a bit, but it's still the graphics still look absolutely fantastic. Now I want to have a look at see what this water looks like. You can see a bombed ship over there in the west in the water. That looks pretty cool, and there's all those barrels of oil and petrol going up in flames. And have a look at that. That looks pretty cool indeed. There's the river. with a bombed out battleship. He looks like, that battleship looks like he's had better days, that's for sure. And like I mentioned earlier, that's the red line, and of course the graphics continue off past the red line, which looks fantastic. Now, did I mention the music? The music was oh, there's a couple of switches right there. A couple of switches right there for changing the train tracks. What happens if you shoot them? Who knows? Wow, that looks absolutely fantastic. The everything's, they tell me that they've done a whole new engine. They've reworked every map, and of course as part of the super testing they haven't given us every map. They've given us most of them. They've left out the ones that are the same, if you like. So there's going to be Prokhorovka. There's Prokhorovka in the super test that I've got access to, but not Fiery Stallion, which makes sense. I guess you've got to check all these things out. Now let's have a look down in the south. Down in the south there you can see there's a, are they canals? I guess they are. There's those planes again. Of course you can hear those planes this time. There's another map where the planes drop bombs. It won't be on today's video, but it might be on a video in the next day or two. You can see there's bridges there, houses. The trees seem to be swaying in the breeze. Now they tell me that the and this is quite well documented, with this update 1, it's a brand new graphics engine from what I understand. And if your computer can run it, you can run the current system in World of Tanks, and it should be able to run the new system. And there is an app you can download onto your computer. It's called World of Tanks Encore. I'll put a link to it if I remember in the video description below. And if I forget, just Google World of Tanks Encore or check out the World of Tanks website, and you'll be able to download that, and that'll run a little test that goes for a few minutes to test if your computer's going to be able to run the new engine for World of Tanks. Let's have a look at these railway lines again. I reckon they look pretty cool. This is the first time I've seen Himmelsdorf. That's why I'm probably just driving around. Before I've started recording, I only really had a look at about half a dozen of the maps, and now I thought I'll do it live and so you can see what it all looks like. So of course, as I mentioned, the red lines are no longer the borders. Of course you can't go past the red lines, but you can see past, which gives from the maps I've looked at, it gives a more, I don't know, it just feels a hell of a lot different. I don't know if it's my simple mind being distracted by not being able to see the edges, but I reckon it's a pretty good touch. Not only are the graphics a hell of a lot more realistic, and of course, you know, when you run things over, things break. You know, when you shoot things, things go bang when you shoot them, and it looks pretty cool. And you could just see there that bit of metal that I ran over was hanging on to the side of a tank just for a little while, just to add a little bit of realism to it all. Of course, those explosions, I reckon they look pretty good as well. That's Himmelsdorf. We're going to jump back to the garage now and go on to our next map, which will be Karelia. A little bit different. Karelia, of course, a hell of a lot different to Himmelsdorf. I guess you could say it's more of a green map than Himmelsdorf might be. So we'll go on to Karelia, click battle, and we'll see what Karelia looks like. Now this is a map that I have had a little bit of a play on before, and again, see how when you first start, it's just a little bit of suspense. The music's different. There a lot of, or all of the music has been updated, so hopefully we'll be able to download that to our computers. I've got a CD that the good lady absolutely loves it when I play the World of Tanks music in the car when we're driving to and from. So that was, maybe she does, maybe she doesn't. Of course, the music is changing, and it just sounds a lot more immersive to me, the music. Now we're on Karelia, and let's have a look in the northern half of Karelia. Hopefully this looks pretty cool as well. The northern, let's go look at the red line first. If you go up here, what do you see there? An island. It looks like is that like a Russian church or a big Russian building anyway with the onion domes on there? So you can see the red line still there, but it looks like you could continue to go further. And of course you can't, because that'd be silly, but it just looks a hell of a lot better. It's all about the graphics as far as I'm concerned. I reckon they look absolutely fantastic, the new graphics. And even when I play in the current format, I do have the graphical settings turned up pretty high, not on absolutely maximum, but I do have them turned up pretty high. And of course, you know, when you live stream and stuff, it does take a little bit of power out of your computer. And now this looks absolutely spectacular as far as I'm concerned. I reckon it looks absolutely awesome. Everything seems to have changed a bit. The trees have changed, the water most certainly has changed, and have a look at the background. The screenshot you saw at the start of this video was from Karelia, and the background just looks, it doesn't just stop at the red line anymore. The graphics continue to move further and further away. And there's also been some additions to the maps. There's been some subtle changes and some not so subtle changes to the maps. Hopefully we'll cover them. Hopefully we'll catch them all. I'm sure we'll miss some of them as I'm recording these videos because, like I said earlier, some of these maps I've never seen before. I've never seen the updated version of before. So here we are, Karelia, heading down towards the south. There's not much to see on the other side of the red line there, but some very, very good and interesting backgrounds, if you ask me. Now, like I mentioned earlier, some of the maps have changed, and Karelia is no exception. We've got the southern spawn here. We can go over here. This is all very similar, but of course a lot more graphically intense. I'm just going to pause just over here for a little bit. And of course, we're looking now towards where the heavy tanks would generally do their business on Karelia. You can see a little bit of haze in there, and like I said when we were looking at Himmelsdorf, I'm not sure if that is a graphical error or if it's just a feature of you know, the heat coming off the engine of the tank. Now that rock, I don't remember seeing a rock like that before on Karelia. We're going to go through the middle and we'll hopefully be able to see what the changes of the water's done. This track, it looks relatively new, or maybe I've just forgotten. I don't think I have forgotten. I think that is relatively new. If you have a look in the middle of the Karelia, of course, there's a massive swamp in the middle with a bit of a track going through the guts. You can see the mud on the track there, and of course, one of the other changes is water. As you drive through water, everything looks a hell of a lot different. Not only does it look different, but when you get out of the water, the tank remains wet for a few seconds. Maybe that wasn't the best demonstration of a wet tank, but we'll see how we go. What's that on the side? Oh, that's part of the design of the Rheinmetall Panzer wagon. I suppose that's what it's called. Here we are in the donut, where a lot of action often happens in Karelia. The donut looking very, very nice. It's absolutely beautiful, these graphical settings on these maps, if you ask me. I reckon it looks absolutely phenomenal. Let's have a look over towards the central part of the map again. And as you look at all that water, they tell me that water is, or somebody told me, water is pretty hard to do for computer games without really bugging out the computer or putting a lot of strain on your computer system. But this feels pretty smooth. Bearing in mind, my ping is not far off 400 because we are connecting to the other side of the world as we record this video. And just driving through this water looks absolutely awesome. It's going straight through the guts. And checking out all that beautiful foliage on Karelia. Now, my graphical settings, like I said, I've got the graphical settings turned right up, and this little German light tank's just going to have a bit of a look around here. Karelia, to me, is all about the greenery and those red leaves coming through on all the trees. Yep. And you might be thinking, well, Stewie, you haven't really talked much about the changes. I don't think there's many changes on Karelia. I really think it is much more cosmetic than similar to Himmelsdorf. It wasn't the map itself on Himmelsdorf, other than adding details. It wasn't many massive changes. We'll see what the next map's going to be like as we jump back to the garage, and we'll get the next map up, which will be Malinovka. You might be wondering, how am I choosing them? Totally random, but I have written them down just to make sure that we get to cover every map over the course of these next few videos. Malinovka was the next one. That's what I said, didn't I? We'll have a look at that. Check out Malinovka and see what the greenery is like on Malinovka. Once again, more different music you can hear as we're starting the battle, and that little mini zoom right at the start, checking out the tank. Now, even as we're loading, I can see it looks different straight away. It looks different already. Obviously the music is a little bit different, but this looks like a totally different map. This does not look like Malinovka. If you had the map covered, I don't reckon I would be able to I don't reckon I'd be able to tell that it was Malinovka if we didn't have the the mini-map in the bottom corner. Let's just go in a clockwise direction. We'll go over here first. Once again, you can see the other side of the red line. It has opened up a little bit, maybe not as much as the other maps. It looks to me like this is a pretty. There's probably not much to see over there in the west, but this bit here hasn't really changed. That looks very similar as far as map changes. That looks a little bit more dangerous. I'm not going to go down there and see if we can scurry along with the water. Birds take off, which is a very nice touch indeed, and we move up towards the north spawn. That bit there, that looks exactly the same as the current incarnation of Malinovka. It is Malinovka, isn't it? Yeah, it is. That's one of those maps I always forget. We'll go up here, see what the arties are going to see. I reckon that looks pretty cool over there. You can see the red line there, but the road continues over there in the west, and that's just more graphical beauty, if you like. Look at all those trees looking absolutely. One thing I have noticed: sometimes the trees do fall down, sometimes they don't. See, sometimes they just wobble. Have a look at that. Now that looks fantastic. This is in the game. Now. That looks absolutely beautiful. That's in the northwest corner of Malinovka. That little lake there. The lake that let's be honest, plenty of people have drowned in that lake playing World of Tanks. If you watch my videos, you know I don't like it too much when a certain class of player decides to drown themselves to deny the kill. There'll be plenty of drowning in this lake. The water looks pretty still. Can we drive through it, or is this going to be the beginning of the end? Oh, you can get through it a little bit there. That's what I see. See how the water just stays on the tank? It's probably a good place to demonstrate that. We'll go back into the water. See that the water splashes, all the waves come up. The tank stays a little bit wet, and then after a few minutes, see how it's still shiny in the sun? That tank is still shining, and we'll start heading up towards the hill, and by the time we get halfway up the hill, it would have lost that dampness, I suppose you could say. Okay, let's go up the hill. Might take a little bit of a while to get up there. Knock over a few trees. There's a little. I haven't noticed that one before. Whoa, lucky that red line was there. There's more of that beautiful water. That's something that they've really done a good job on, if you ask me. That water looks absolutely fantastic. We'll continue going up the hill in Malinovka towards the top of the peak, where all the action happens with the heavy tanks and the medium tanks. See what's up here. This is certainly changed. This is a change. That building has, pardon me, always been there, but this just looks a lot more open. One reason it looks more open is that red line. All that's open as well, so that's probably a little bit of a trick to the eyesight as we move up to the top to the windmill. Windmill's not turning around. Not sure if that. I think it was turning around in the game the other night when I was playing it. And again, no massive changes up here at the top of the hill on Malinovka, but mainly graphical changes, and that rock's still there. We'll go down here, check out these houses. Look to me like there's a few more houses than there used to be. Let's go and have a look. Check them out. Look, this is one of the maps I haven't yet seen. I'm experiencing this for the first time. Look at the detail in the houses. If you park the tank just here, you can look in the houses. They've got farm equipment, chopped wood for the fire, more wood there. Farmer's truck. What's in that? Just some bits of wood. A barrel. Can you shoot the barrel? Yes, you can. Now it's just going to roll around and disappear. It's a magical barrel. Not sure if that's. Still drive through these houses, and that's all pretty cool. Knock over some blocks of wood. And it's just the detail. The detail is amazing. Of course, everyone's systems will be different. Everyone's. Let's see what we do if we shoot this barrel. The barrel splits apart and disappears. Not too bad at all. It looks pretty groovy though, if you ask me. What do you think? Put some comments down below. Do you think it looks good? Do you think they've done a good job, a bad job? Some of the trees. Now, of course, this is all. Everything's subject to change, like with any new thing. Everything's subject to change, and we're always, I think, when I say we, I said World of Tanks are always working to improve the game, and anything could happen. This is all still being tested by the super testers and people with a lot more game knowledge than I have. I'm just doing this video just to show you some of the highlights and the different graphical settings, things that have changed. You know, water has certainly changed in this game. The bushes have changed. Even the sky looks a little bit clearer. Maybe it's just because I don't have everything turned up to absolute maximum in my in-game settings. Yeah, the buildings look a little bit different. The explosions look different. And I think for the next game, I'm going to bring a different tank for the next map, which is going to be Prokhorovka, and we'll have a look at Prokhorovka because that has changed a little bit, and I'll show you something else we've sort of discovered. Some more farm equipment down here in the southeast of Malinovka, and like I mentioned earlier, sometimes the trees fall over, sometimes they don't. I'm not sure if that's a bug or if that's something they're trying to do, because there's, when we get to Westfield, just wait until we see Westfield, that's some very interesting thick foliage on Westfield when we get to that. Let's jump back to the garage and then get our fourth map up, which is going to be Prokhorovka. But we'll switch to the Sheridan tank because a little bit of derp the derp guns sound a hell of a lot different as well. So we go back to the team training. What did I say? Prokhorovka, modify room. Let's go here. And let's rock this. Let's see what the music's like in this one. When I was first looking, I wasn't listening to the music. I had the music turned off, or I might not have had my headphones on. The music certainly a lot different, and of course Prokhorovka is a map that has had a few changes. Let's see if we can find them as we run through this training room. One thing I've noticed with the music, it almost sounds like there are people talking in the background with the music. Now we're going to go down the one line first, and then we'll check out the middle, and then we'll go up to the hill and check out that northeast corner when we go down there. Now, as far as gameplay goes, this looks very, very similar to the current way the map is, apart from looking a lot prettier. And once again, you can see past the red line. I mean, and not just past the red line, but you can also see, look at that, a tank that's on fire over there. Some houses. Can we shoot these houses? I don't think we'll be able to. Let's have a look. Listen to that gun though. Listen to the Sheridan's big derp gun. That sounds a lot different to what I'm used to, that's for sure. Now, rolling down this 1-2 line, even if you look towards the east, it just looks a lot prettier, and there's no there's nothing over from this side of the map. There's nothing to show where the map ends on the other side. If you look, it looks like you can see the red line when you zoom in, but it looks like the game goes forever, and I think that's what they've tried to do as they've redesigned these maps and added there's a massive amount of pictures, would you say? Massive amount of graphical settings being put into these maps from what I can see as we get down to the southern spawn. It looks very, very similar. No massive changes. That guy there, we've just crashed into him. It's certainly burnt out a lot more. I think the spawn has moved. It looks like the southern spawn has moved a little bit. Maybe it's just my imagination. There's the railway line. We'll go into the middle. Looking at the middle, the undulations of the land maybe look a little bit flatter, or am I imagining things? You tell me, or am I just miles away? I don't think. Yeah, maybe they're not that flatter. They look a little bit flatter. I think it's more that they look flatter because they. I don't know. Maybe the background is throwing my eyesight. That looks a little bit flatter. But then when you come up here, this is a pretty good undulation and a pretty good. Pretty steeper than I think. A lot greener on the northern half. It's almost like there's two seasons. In the north, it looks like it might be spring in the north, and then in the south, it looks the grass looks a hell of a lot drier, doesn't it? It looks a little. Of course, that's just the way it looks. It's not going to affect gameplay at all. Let's have a look in this little town here, this little village. And again, like we saw in Malinovka, lots of detail. Houses, washing hanging out on the line, a farmer's truck, Another farmer's truck. Can we blow up the farmer's truck? Wow, all right, that looks absolutely amazing. Tractor over there. Lots of houses, huts. Lots of things to knock over, if that's what floats your boat. And once again, some more of that beautiful water down here. Down here in the southeastern part of Prokhorovka, there's that pond. Not sure if it was always that clean. It looks pretty clean. And once again, you can see the water cascading over the Sheridan, which I reckon looks pretty groovy indeed. Again, near the red line, it still continues. The view still continues near the red lines. More fields in the south. The railway line. We'll get to the railway line after we check out this hill where people like to have a bit of a play on the eastern flank. Now, like I mentioned earlier, the ping, you might be able to see it in the top left corner. Ping's sitting at about 350. Now, this has changed. So obviously it's not as responsive as I'm probably used to, but good enough for this kind of replay. The music's changed, the graphics have changed. This bit certainly changed. Now, this bit where my Sheridan currently is sitting has always been a little bit lower. I'm not sure if those bushes were always there, were they or not? I know the fence and this little track certainly wasn't there, but it seems to guide you to these spots, you know, where you might be able to have a little bit of a snipe. Let's see if we can hit that tractor as we wait for that HE derp gun to load. Let's see if we can hit that tractor. Wow, that tractor certainly knew what hit it then. What else? This looks a little bit more open. This looks a little bit less bushy to me in the middle part, but I think the bushes are still in the essential parts. These bushes here will help the people pushing from the north to the south. These bushes will help conceal them, and there's bushes at the back for the southern spawn guys, but a little bit more open in the middle. You can hear some planes again. Can we find them? There they are. Just a couple of little planes this time as we roll down the hill. More houses there to our right. I don't remember seeing those in game before. Of course, that just adds to the good graphics and the good aesthetically pleasing view, I guess you would call it. We've got some water here. We'll see if we can get up this. Can we get up this hill? I don't know if we're going to get up this hill from here. Certainly not. There's a little pier. Oops, sorry about knocking over your little pier. I'm not going to be able to get up on those things. But look at that water. That water looks absolutely fantastic, if you ask me. I'm not just saying that because it's because I'm a community contributor. The water just looks great. It just looks a lot more real than in the past. It looks like you can't drown there, which I think is probably a good thing, because we don't want too many drownings. Going up here towards where the tank destroyers and occasionally artillery might sit and snipe from up above. There's that little perch there. Looks a little bit new. I reckon that's a change there. I reckon you used to be able to get up here, or am I wrong? That little perch there looks a little bit different. Looks a little bit exposed, that's for sure, but certainly looks a little bit different. As we go up towards the corner, you can see a little house up there. Little house overlooking the water. That'd be a nice place to live. But what a view! That's $1 million view right there. Check that out. You got the water there, a little village over there in the distance, and lots of groovy stuff. We'll move back down to the railway line just to check out what the railway line looks like, and then we'll jump on to our fifth and final map, which is going to be Paris. It's only a smaller map than this one, which hopefully will be a little bit quicker to get through. A lot more water over here than we're used to. That's one thing that stands out to me. It still looks passable, but there might be. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a few deep patches. Maybe here. We'll have a look at the railway line, and then we'll go back and we'll see if it drowns us as we go back there. The railway line looks very, very similar to what we've already got in the game. Let's go have a look at this puddle over here, see if we survive, and if we don't survive, we'll move on to the next. Even if we do, let's just see how deep it is. It's still very, very passable, all this water. You get the little warning, but you don't get the you don't get the timer. So when that warning comes up, that means you can't shoot. That warning right there, that means, I think it means you can't shoot, but it doesn't look like we're drowning, which is a good thing. But that water looks absolutely, that looks awesome. We'll move on to our fifth and final map for this video, and tell me what you think in the comments below when you check this one out. We'll change to the T100, one of my favourites. That's absolutely fantastic. We're going to move down to Paris. Where's Paris? There it is. And click battle. What do you think? Do you think this is a good thing what they've done? I reckon it looks amazing, and that's why it's getting update number 1. The graphics just look so much better. Crisp, clear, detailed, aesthetically pleasing. That's the word I was struggling to say not too long ago. Now we're looking at Paris again, and more music. There's the Eiffel Tower in the background. And we'll start going down where the heavy tanks do their business, and then we'll check out the field. And that music is certainly a lot different, a lot more powerful. Look at the ribbons. Are they ribbons in the streets of Paris? Street signs, coffee shop, car, shoot the car. Car explodes. Hope that wasn't your car. There's the Eiffel Tower in the background. Let's check it out down here in the south, and we'll see how we go. Not sure if that bit's new there or not. This crane is certainly new. Have a look at that. That crane looks absolutely fantastic. It's of course not part of it at all. Can we get a shot on it? Nope, not going to blow that one up. But anyway, let's move under the bridge. The bridge looks pretty cool. A few pipes. I don't know who left those pipes there. And once again, everything a lot crisper, a lot clearer, a lot more beautiful to look at. There's those, are they power lines, or those, what are they called? Ribbons across the streets on Paris map. Of course, Paris is a very beautiful city. It's doesn't look that beautiful in this game. In the past, it looks a lot better now. There's a coffee shop. Sorry about the tables to the coffee shop owner. We'll check out this street. And what's that in the sky? What are they? Are they balloons? They are. They're balloons. So maybe they're maybe it's for when Paris was liberated. Maybe that's what they're trying to go for there with those balloons. I've never seen those balloons before on this map or on any other map. We'll check out the middle now. Or maybe, or maybe not. Maybe not. Oh, that's awkward. We can. Oh, well, we can still flip our tank. That's for sure. We'll go back and we'll start that one again, and then we'll go check out the north of Paris and just see. We'll do it with. We'll do it with a French. We'll do it with a French tank this time. Probably a little bit more fitting. Didn't even see that thing. Of course, it's good to see we can still flip our tanks in this new part of the. New version of the game, I guess. Water Tanks Update 1.0. Sorry about the flip. That was definitely not intentional. So we'll just check out the north part of Paris, the north and the east, and then we'll wrap this video up, and I'll start working on the next one. Tell me what you think. Do you think they look good? I'm learning as much as you are, so I guess the commentary's been a little bit stuttered, but we'll checking out the new music, the new maps, the new graphics are absolutely unbelievable, if you ask me. I know I have said it a few times. I apologise for repeating myself, but there's a lot to get through. There's a lot of maps. 27 or 28 maps from memory is what they've put in this super test. Of course, every map's got different versions, attack and defence, which I haven't really gone in there, but checking out the north of Paris, and we'll just see what this happens. I think the north is where the Eiffel Tower is. There it is. A couple of planes flying around. And once again, everything goes past the red line. There's the River Seine, I think it is. Eiffel Tower, not many difference in the north, other than a little bit of rain on the ground by the looks of it. Not a massive amount of difference in the north part of this map. There's the Eiffel Tower, looking fantastic. Never been. I highly recommend you go and have a look at it. It's a pretty impressive thing to look at. Looks like there's a bit of roadworks going on, possibly. This bit looks very, very similar. It looks to me like Paris is simply been made high definition. So that looks like the main thing. They've made it a little bit more detailed, much more spectacular as far as the graphics go, and but no real change to how it's going to play out. A few of those things going across the roads, which look pretty good. Oh, what do we got here? What do we got here? A merry-go-round. I reckon that looks pretty cool. Can we shoot the merry-go-round? Wow. And that's how it's done. Anyway, thanks for tuning. They look like they might be. Oh, they might need a bit more help. Maybe or maybe not. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Thanks for watching. Hopefully this has been an educational experience for you. It certainly has been for me. There's a few more videos in this series coming up. We'll probably put out 2 today, and the rest one at a time. Well, just depending on how my schedule goes. As always, thanks for turning up. Hopefully, tell me what you think. What do you think about the new maps? I reckon they look absolutely fantastic. This is obviously, I'm testing it from the other side of the world, so that it's not as responsive as my normal game might be, but definitely good enough for running around in these training rooms. As always, thanks for turning up. Take care, and see you all next time.